Hello, Dr. Pouchet. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be on this podcast. My last podcast, I spoke about the gut brain connection, and I had promised the viewers that I'll get an expert in the field, being a physician like yourself, to come and elaborate more on the topic and share your professional expertise on the topic. So here you are. I want to share with the listeners that I have known Dr. Pouchet for a number of years now, and I've been very, very impressed with her work. As a matter of fact, I saw her heal someone's hands, the palm of this person's hand. It was black and scaly and very itchy. And despite all of the recommended or suggested remedies for the person, it was not healing. And she went to Dr. Pouchet. Now she has perfect hands like myself. And I myself have my own testimony about Dr. Pouchet's work, and there are a lot more on your website. So I would ask you at this time, without further ado, to please just give us some more information on who you are and your credentials and so forth.
I am Dr. Pouchet. I am a naturopathic physician. I got my doctorate from Bastyr University. But prior to that, I have my bachelor's of engineering in chemical engineering, and I worked for a pharmaceutical company for 7 years. I started off as a supervisor in the vaccine division, making vaccines, and then I crossed over into the pharmaceutical section, where I was an engineer. And then I went into global operations and was promoted to senior engineer. After that, I resigned, and then I went back to school to do my doctorate in naturopathic medicine. And here I am now. I also practiced in the United States, but I also practice as well and support the people in the Caribbean and do virtual with other people in Europe, South America, United States, and other parts of the world. So I do virtual and in-office visits.
Okay, nice. So, Dr. Pouchet, we've been hearing a lot about the gut-brain connection and the microbiome, and that's what I attempted to discuss in my last podcast. But I said, you know what? Don't set myself up. Let me leave it to the experts. So, I would like you to just share further. What exactly is this brain-gut connection and the microbiome? What is the microbiome?
Okay, so let's start with what is the microbiome. So the microbiome is not just bacteria, because a lot of people, when they think of probiotics, they think of friendly bacteria, but it's actually a community of different microbes that live in our digestive system. So these microbes could range from viruses, fungi, protozoa, worms, and then we have our good bacteria that we all know about. And then we have our unfriendly, opportunistic bacteria that could actually cause us some problems in our gut. And our digestive system, when we think about our digestive system, we start to think that it's just the small intestines, the colon, but our digestive system actually starts in the mouth and ends in the anal canal, which is where, we defecate. So the bacteria in our mouth is different to the bacteria that we find in our stomach, in our small intestine, and in our colon. And these different bacteria in these different areas, they all have a specific role that help us actually have health in our body and create healthy cells for our body and help us absorb nutrients and decrease inflammation in our system. They produce chemical messengers for our brain. So they have a wide variety of responsibility that actually keeps us healthy. It also trains our immune system and keep our healthy cells continue to be healthy.
Okay.
So that microbiome is extremely, extremely important to us. and it should be the first line of action when it comes to maintaining health.
Okay. So, what is the connection with the microbiome, being the gut or being part of the digestive system, and the brain?
So, the words and the topics coming up is called brain gut access.
Okay.
And yeah, so this brain gut access could go both ways. And I'll give you some examples. If we are stressed out, we will send certain chemicals to our brain that stimulates the brain to tell us that we are stressed out. And when we're stressed out, our brain sends signals to different parts of our bodies, specifically our digestive system. So we go into what is called an anxious state or sympathetic fight or flight state that affects our digestive health. Because when we are in a stressed out state, it actually decreases our saliva in our mouth, our stomach acid, our digestive enzymes. It slows our motility of food going through our gut. And as a result, it affects the health of our microbiome. So that's one way the brain affects our gut. But then it goes the reverse. Our gut microbiome helps make certain messengers that stimulate the nervous system to the brain. So we have the brain sending messages to the gut, and then we have the gut making chemicals to support the nervous system. So eating in a relaxed state helps our digestion, and then having the right microbiome helps our nervous system and our brain.
Okay, so as you said, so it's two directional. You have the brain sending signals to the gut, and then the gut, the
Yes.
friendly microbes sending signals to the brain.
Brain,
Yes.
yes.
So
Well, it sends signals to the nervous system and then it sends nutrients to the brain to make these messengers to help the brain.
okay, okay. Thank you for the clarification. I also heard about serotonin, which I think is one of the neurotransmitters that affect the mood, and that is produced in the gut by a bacteria in the gut or something like that.
Yes, yes, yes. So serotonin is in what we call a neurotransmitter, and a neurotransmitter is a chemical messenger that actually stimulates the nerve, the vagus nerve. So the serotonin that is made in the gut cannot go to the brain, but it affects the vagus nerve, which is responsible for calming our bodies, helping us digest, making us know that we are satisfied after eating. So it plays a big role when it comes to anxiety. The serotonin also is important for making melatonin. So I'll go more in depth, okay? So the serotonin that is made in the gut actually activates the vagus nerve, which is part of our autonomic nervous system. We have the sympathetic and we have the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is our flight or fight. We see a bear coming, we are in the sympathetic mode. When we are relaxed and digesting and resting, we are in the parasympathetic mode. So the parasympathetic mode is really what keeps us calm, helps us to digest, reduces our anxiety.
Is that the
Okay?
one that the serotonin helps with, the parasympathetic one?
Yes, the parasympathetic. So the parasympathetic is the longest nervous system in the body. It runs from the brain stem to the heart, to the lungs, to the digestive system.
Okay.
But the precursor to make serotonin is tryptophan. And tryptophan is an amino acid that could cross the blood-brain barrier to make serotonin in the brain. So
And that
that is
tryptophan,
why.
Uh-huh. And the tryptophan, is that from one of the bacteria? Oh, where you get?
No, no. So I'll explain to you. So tryptophan is broken down from proteins that we eat. So from eggs, from nuts, from chicken or turkey, from turkey specifically. And our digestive system breaks down that food into the amino acid tryptophan. And then tryptophan is converted to serotonin by our microbiome. But there are specific microbiome bacteria like bifidobacteria and clostridia that is important for converting tryptophan to serotonin.
So in a nutshell, what you're simply saying is for serotonin to be produced, you have to have the healthy bacteria in the body.
Yes,
And the
yes. And we have to
serotonin,
have, I'm sorry, and then we have to have a healthy digestive system to break down the amino acids to tryptophan, break down proteins to amino acids.
I know when I used to work out and I would go to buy the protein drinks, I remember my trainer would say, read the ingredients, look for tryptophan. So this is what that tryptophan is to help to help with my
Yes,
mood.
yes,
All right,
yes,
okay, good.
yes, yes.
So it helps
So,
with serotonin, and serotonin is what they call our happy hormone or
yes,
our
so
mood
serotonin.
regulator.
Yeah, so serotonin is a neurotransmitter and it's like a chemical messenger that helps the neurons in our brains to communicate better. And as a
Okay.
result, it has a wider effect on anxiety, calming us, making us feel full, and just helping the brain to function better. And this is the difference. So that is why the gut is called the second brain because it activates the parasympathetic nervous system via the vagus nerve to keep us calm, digesting well. Even it plays a role in weight loss in a sense, serotonin, because again, it activates our GLP-1, which we will go further in detail in a second podcast.
Okay.
Um,
So before you go any further too, so what I'm hearing, right, is
mhm.
important. The gut really, really have to be healthy because it's influencing the vagus nerve, which has a role, which is
Yes, yes.
one whatever else is connected to the parasympathetic and the auto whatever nervous system. So the
Autonomic, yes.
the autonomic nervous system, great. So the message I'm taking from all of this is the gut has a really influential role on the nervous system.
Yes,
And,
and yes,
and
go
I
ahead.
guess that's why it's very, very important for us to have a healthy gut or healthy microbiome. So, what would be some of the things that we would have to do to make sure we have a healthy microbiome so that we would have a good balance? We'd have the serotonin that would affect our mood. We'd be happy. There'd be no stress. We would love everybody. The world would be a better place. If it was that
Okay,
simple,
so
right?
I know, I wish it was, but first of all, we have to have a healthy digestive system. If we don't have a healthy digestive system and we're not breaking down our foods efficiently, we're not going to have those raw materials that is necessary to feed the microbiome or even feed our bodies. So what entails a healthy gut, right? So making enough stomach acid, right? If we are stressed out while eating, we are not going to make enough stomach acid. We're not going to make enough digestive enzymes that break down our food. And as a result, that food stays in our system and it decays and becomes a toxin for us.
Oh,
And those toxins actually damage our microbiome. So one of the things that I would like to highlight is that maybe before you start a meal, you relax, you do some deep breathing, which also stimulates the vagus nerve. We could also add some Bragg's apple cider vinegar to our water to stimulate stomach acid and stomach digestion, stomach digestive enzymes. and then chew our food well, and eat in a very relaxed mood.
Are there
That
any oh, I'm sorry. Are there any particular types of foods that you would recommend?
Yes. So we are what we eat, and the microbiome loves fiber. So eating foods high in fiber is extremely important. So I would even start with our oatmeal, our grains, quinoa, uh, apples, avocados, our pears, berries, and then even go to our vegetables, especially our cruciferous vegetables.
Should the
So
vegetables be cooked a certain way? We boil it, fry it, steam it? What
yes,
would you
so
suggest?
a lot of people they tend to overcook their vegetables. I recommend that you blanch them, meaning that you just steam it enough for it to go from light green to a darker greener color. And when you eat it, it must still have that crunch. Uh, so because it's an indication that you're not overcooking your vegetables. Because when you overcook, you kill the enzymes. Enzymes, they only live under a certain temperature. So you kill the nutrients, you kill the enzymes, and you're actually just eating dead food.
Oh. And I like my
Yes.
vegetables very soft. Thank you.
But you must steam it. I recommend steaming and not completely raw. Yes.
And you mentioned fiber. Some sources of fiber. I heard chia seeds, that's a good source of fiber. Is that
Yes, chia seeds, oats, flax. Flax is very good for the gut, actually. Some people love their sweet potato, their provisions, what we call provisions, like yams and um, I don't recommend white potato, but you want to have high fiber carbohydrates
and
versus refined carbohydrates.
okay. And I've heard about fermented drinks. On the podcast, I was telling the viewers that my daughter introduced me to kombucha. And the first time I tasted that thing, I was like, oh my goodness, what is this fermented drink that I'm drinking? But you could shed some light on that, the importance of kombucha.
So kombucha, yogurt, these different types of fermented drinks have bacteria in it. The yogurt has lactobacillus, acidophilus, and when we eat those fermented foods, we're actually introducing friendly bacteria into our gut. But there are also kimchi as well, sauerkraut as well, because if you notice, they all have this sort of acidic taste, fermented taste to it. When you see that fermented taste, you know it has some level of bacteria in it that you are introducing into your gut. And if your gut is healthy, and you're feeding it with the right foods, those microbes are going to divide and multiply, and they're going to support the health of your immune system, your gut lining, your brain, etc.
So I spoke about protecting one's peace. I'm big on protecting your peace. Your peace is divine. And there is a connection with you being peaceful and comfortable if your gut is healthy. Because if your gut is not healthy and you see all of these other disorders and complications that can arise because of an unhealthy gut, that
Mhm.
of course would be very troubling. So, sometimes when you hear friendly bacteria, it sounds a little off because once people hear bacteria, fungi, viruses, and so on, immediately you start thinking about something that is bad or something to stay away from. So, hearing that the microbiome is a combination of good and bad bacteria, or just good only?
Yes, yes. No, it's a combination of good and bad bacteria. So we can never get rid of all the different types of microbes. But what we can hope for is that our friendly microbes that influence our health outcrowds the opportunistic infections that we could get from being introduced with certain foods that are contaminated. That outcrowding is making sure that you have much more friendly bacteria than we do the opportunistic infections and yeast infections and parasites like worms and protozoa, etc.
Do we have foods that contribute to the bad bacteria that makes the bad bacteria multiply?
Well, if we eat foods, sometimes we have food in the fridge and you see mold on it. And then we go and we don't realize there's mold on our bread, but not all the mold is bad. But, we eat it and we introduce those things into our system. Sometimes, the medications that we take prolonged can affect our stomach acid. And our stomach acid is really responsible for keeping those bad microbes out from entering into our small intestine. So having a strong stomach and making sure that we have sufficient stomach acid is very important. So one of the things that I like to do with my clients, first thing I ask is acid reflux, gas and bloating, um, feeling full for long periods of time after eating a meal. All of these things are indications to me that they're probably not secreting sufficient stomach acid. Other signs is that after you eat, sometimes they have acid reflux. They feel the food up in their throat or they feel burning in their stomach. This is also another indication of possibly low stomach acid. Now there is a misnomer that when you have acid reflux or burning in the stomach, is that you are making too much acid. And that is not necessarily true. When you have burning in the stomach, it's sometimes because the food stays there so long and decay and create toxins that the food becomes more acidic than the acid that the body produces.
Wow,
And then
that's
that
good to
low,
know.
yes, and then the low acid relaxes the sphincter and allows the food to shoot up into the esophagus and sometimes in the throat. And that's why people at nighttime, they have this residual cough. So I just want to highlight the importance of having a good and strong digestive system.
I know I read somewhere, or maybe in speaking to you, where you were saying things like bleach, bleach foods and bleach vegetables, like the flour, if you see bleach. So tell us some things that we should stay away from. I know you said the GMOs and
Yes, yes. So there are certain foods like, for example, bleach food. So bleach on a whole is a disinfectant, and we use bleach to kill, fungal mold, other bacteria in our kitchen and our stains in our clothes. So when we bleach food or bleach flour and then we ingest it, we are going to damage our microbiome because that chemical is going to kill our microbiome. The other thing too is pesticides in our food, to be aware of that. Pesticides kill pests. They are going to kill our microbiome as well. So we need to have care in washing our foods. We could also choose, so there's a list, Environmental Workers Group sends out a list every year on the top 12 dirty dozen foods that are high in pesticides. So once you have that list, you could prefer to buy organic from those foods. So those foods tend to be strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and they have a list. So you could choose to buy organic. And then they also provide you the top 12 clean foods. The other thing that I do is I recommend to my clients to wash their foods with vinegar and baking soda. 10% vinegar to 90% water, and then you could add the baking soda to neutralize. The other thing to be aware of is genetically modified foods. So just remember that we evolve with these foods. We evolve with everything in our environment. And when we genetically modify the food, our gut and our microbiome does not recognize the food. So we have to be, there's usually a little sticker on the food that indicates whether something is genetically modified or not.
Okay, okay, great, great. Okay, good. Well, thank you so much. So far I think it's what I got out of this is that the gut plays a very essential role, and there are some things that we should do and some things that
Yes,
we should not do. And some of the
yes.
things that we should do is
Mhm.
try to be stress free or keep your stress levels as low as possible. And I think also you shared with me when you are stressed, cortisol is produced, and if you have too much cortisol, remember you were sharing that? You
Yes,
could explain that for me,
yes,
how it affects the
yes.
stomach.
Cortisol also thins out the lining of the gut.
Mm.
So it affects the microbiome by it could increase inflammation. Too much cortisol could also increase inflammation. Then you have a lot of blood sugar in your system. So that right there, it also affects, your releasing stomach acid. It affects the
Okay.
thyroid because cortisol inhibits thyroid function, and thyroid is actually responsible for you secreting hydrochloric acid in the stomach for proper digestion. So it's
So,
like a vicious cycle.
right, I just wanted to stop right there because I'm just wanting to link the cortisol. So when you're stressed, if you excessively stress, that cortisol could affect the microbiome by the intestinal walls could become thin.
So it affects it by the intestinal walls, but it also affects it by how we digest our food.
Okay, so we really need to keep our stress levels very, very low.
Yes, so the sympathetic nervous system is also very important to us, but keeping ourselves in that sympathetic mode is a problem for our
Okay,
overall health because then we go from a building state to a break it down state.
okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. We would end by you sharing what would part two look like. Because I know the microbiome is really broad. It's a very wide topic, and there could be many disorders and diseases that could come out of an unhealthy microbiome. Am I correct? Am I using the right terminology?
Yes,
In that,
yes. No,
yes?
you're very correct, Carla. And one of the things, so we looked at today how the microbiome affects our gut-brain axis and the production of serotonin. But the microbiome is also very important in regulating our weight and our blood sugar. So that
Okay.
is going to be because everybody's now into weight loss, and there's a high, rate of diabetes in the US and around the world. So learning how the microbiome affects our blood sugar, our metabolism, our weight is a very good topic to go on for our next session.
Okay, good. And I think you will also add to the next section. You spoke about hormonal imbalance as well with the
Yeah,
microbiome.
so that could be a third podcast.
Okay, great,
because
great.
yeah,
All right.
because the hormonal health is also very important for our longevity, and the microbiome also plays a role in that as well.
I'm telling you, this microbiome is in everything. So we really need to get
Yes.
some good information so that we could maintain our peace by having a healthy microbiome. Well, for persons who are interested in getting on to Dr. Pouchet, I know you have a WhatsApp number. If you could
Yes, I
share
am
that
on.
with us.
Yes, so my WhatsApp number is 1-868-478-6993. And you could also get in touch with me via email, which is pushetta1 Pouche as an egg, T and A as an apple, 1 @gmail.com or info@hopeandwellness.com.
And your website? What
My website is hopeandwellnessclinic.com or hopeandwellness.com.
I think it's hopeandwellness.com. I think so,
Yes.
yeah. But what I would do as well in the description, I will also include your contact information. So
Thank
that
you, Pat.
person's interested, yes, in getting on to you. Thank you so much for giving me your time, taking the
Yes,
time to
you're
share this
welcome.
information. It's very, very useful. I have learned a lot, and I'm trusting that the listeners will also learn and put into effect what you shared. No stress or low stress so that we can maintain the peace, make this world a better place.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, dear, bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.